So I've cut the extra material off. This thing is now squared up. It's not a square, in spite of it looks like one, but it's a little bit longer this way than it is this way. Actually, we can actually get the exact dimensions. So our dial indicator says that this is exactly 4 inches this way, 4.01. And if we measure this way, it is 4.225 or so. So it's a little bit wider than it is by about a quarter of an inch, almost a quarter of an inch. But that's okay. I think I want to maintain that length. So the reason it's important that this is squared, again, not square, not a square, but squared, is we're going to kind of cheat a little bit to find the center. Remember back in geometry days in high school where, you were told how angles and everything all have, they all kind of relate to each other. Well, here's a trick that if you're trying to find the center of something, and we want to find the center, I need to have this plate mount, or this motor mount to the center of that plate. And then the whole thing's going to go upside down like this, and then we're going to somehow fasten it to the frame of the vehicle, and we'll figure that out when we get there. But I need a round hole put in the middle of this thing. So I need and the important part being the middle. So I'm going to just take my ruler and if I go corner to corner, and make a mark. You don't have to make the whole thing because, after all we're doing is finding the center. Sometimes the less marks you have on your piece, the better. And that. So that's now the center. We're going to center punch that, and before we do anything to it, before we drill it, this is a very important part. This is probably the most important part in this whole piece because the center of this, or actually this diameter, needs to be concentric with the center. Right, because this plate has to mount here. So this has to be concentric, and most importantly, these holes have to be concentric. This needs to bolt up exactly when this is exactly in the middle of this. All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to do as much as I can before I get rid of this middle. Ultimately, this center has to be cut out, about that big. And if I do that, now I can't identify the center anymore. And the way I'm going to machine this, I need to know, I need to have that center accurate all the time. Matter of fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a 3/8 hole in it, and I'll show you that in a little while. Because that's what my milling machine wants to. I want to drill this on a milling machine, so I need to have that center drilled at 3/8 so I can bolt it down to my rotary table. So now that we have the center of this thing, what we need to do is we need to figure out how to transfer all of this. I don't think we're going to need these holes here. We're going to just fasten it to these ones. These are the ones that are holding the planetary gear set together on that motor. So you can see that we would have been relying on these 4 little tiny bolts to absorb all of this torque between the gearbox and the motor. And because this thing is, it's meant to, what we're using it for is torque, these bolts would have loosened up quickly. So what I'm doing is we're taking these bolts from the frame of the motor, so the torque reaction of the motor. We're taking these bolts, and we're gonna make this plate transfer that torque to the frame before it gets to these bolts. Okay, so that's what we're doing. We're just making things more solid. Okay, I gotta get a center.